A day full of news, but breaking within the last 20 minutes, we have gotten word that there is a ceasefire happening between Ukraine and Russia as America looks to renew their aid. Now, what does that mean? We're going to talk about the details of that, but will it be bullish for crypto? That is yet to be decided. There's also some news coming out on this fine Tariff Tuesday, an expression coined by one of our traders, our pro traders over on our VIP trading group. So I don't want to take credit for that, but the tariffs keep getting worse and worse, especially the ones happening between the United States and Canada. There's a lot to play in there about what could be bullish for crypto, but also what could be bearish. So on this very confusing day, we're going to break down a lot of news, take a look at those charts, but make sure you guys are aware of everything going on because this is not the time to tune out of the markets. We're not yet bullish, but we're not quite bearish either. Make sure to stick around to the end. Smash that like button if you are here and you enjoy the bros. Make sure if you're new, you hit subscribe. But first, we got to roll the intro. Welcome on in the Investing Bros live show. It's going to be a fun one today. Again, as I said in the intro, whole heck of a lot of news going on. We're not even ourselves ready to make a statement about what this means for crypto because there's so much bullish and bearishness in it. But stick around. We're going to figure that all out together. I'm joined by these two great-looking guys. I'm loving the hat down there, Smay, repping the old Buc-ee's gas station of the South. How are you doing today, my friend? How's that hat doing?
Busey's, thank you, Tim. I'm doing great. Great. Love it.
Okay. Love the answer. T-Shroom with the HODL hat still on. How you doing, my friend?
Got the HODL hat on, Tim, and I've also got my blue light blocking glasses because I have been staring at these screens all day long. But I'm looking for some new blue light glasses. If you guys want to sponsor the show and you manufacture blue light glasses, let us know in the email in the YouTube bio. But I'm better than I deserve, Tim. And we had two very big breaking news headlines. As you can see, the markets are ripping on what those are. We'll get to them in just a second after we hear how you're doing, Tim. How are you?
Well, we got to pause for a second. We will be talking crypto today, I promise. But we have three glasses Smay, and I think he's coming for a fourth one. Danny Scales says Smay takes off those stupid Vipers, and we're about to have a ceasefire. I don't think that's a coincidence. Is Smay to thank for this recent news, him and his Vipers? Let us know in chat. Smay, anything you want to say to the people before we let you go?
Yeah,
Before the end of the show?
I just want to say, Tim, we were talking about, guys, it's really important you take care of your eyes. Blue light is so bad for your eyes, cause so much eye strain. So I actually have 3 layers of blue light blocking glasses now on. So I will not take in any blue light whatsoever. And guys, no blue light means Bitcoin pumps. That's just how this works. Anyways, back to you.
All right, let's get into, thank you for that, Smay. Let's get into the news, right? Let's do the minute-long rundown with T-Shroom. We will talk more news later because they are the big talking points of the day. But before we jump into charts and analyze what's happening on the crypto charts, got to get our news headlines. T-Shroom, what is popping today? Go ahead and take it away.
Absolutely. All right, well, our breaking news here, actually, I'm going to refresh because we've got even more breaking news. This, I don't even think you've seen this. Not even Tim has seen this. It's so hot off the press. Canada agrees to pause 25% electricity tariff on the U.S., and it is a big deal. That doesn't stop there, though. We got more bullish news, all in the 2 o'clock hour block. U.S. resumes military aid and intelligence to Ukraine after agreeing to a ceasefire proposal. There's more to this. We'll talk about it a little later. It's not so simple, but it is bullish. Trump's not so bullish now. Trump says he's increasing Canadian steel, aluminum, and tariffs to 50%. So jacking up those tariffs by double. Not great there. Of course, more details. Bullish for AVAX. This headline: Van Eck registers for an Avalanche ETF in Delaware. Typically a prerequisite to filing for a spot AVAX ETF. They should consult Elon before filing in Delaware, because Delaware sucks, according to Elon, and I tend to agree. United States jolts job openings for January 7.740 million, which beat the expected 7.650 million. Now, this could be misconstrued as good news as bad news, meaning this data would disincentivize Jerome Powell from cutting in March. First of all, he's probably not going to cut in March regardless, but this is not unemployment. This is job openings. Don't get them twisted. Moving along here, Bitwise launches Bitcoin Standard Corporation's ETF ticker, OWNB. Let me know in the chat. What do you think OWNB stands for? Serious answers only. You better not see any jokes in there. This is designed to track public companies that hold over 1,000 Bitcoin. I am honestly really excited and doing some research on this to see if it's something I'm going to pick up for myself. Coinbase to resume service in India after securing regulatory approval from the financial regulator there in India. Goes on, and now we get all the way back to where we started when last night Ontario raised electricity export tariffs by 25% in Minnesota, Michigan, and New York. And if I scroll all the way to the top, the most latest breaking news is that not even 24 hours later, they have paused those tariffs. It's almost like they're a little bit intimidated. Let me know in the chat. Are they making the right decision, or should they hold to the tariffs and punish Trump and the Americans? Tim, those are our headlines.
Key question there, when it says agrees to pause 25%, what are they agreeing to, right? There's another side of that story, T-Shroom. Keep your eyes on the news. I think while we're live today, I would not be surprised if we have 4 or 5 breaking stories happening a little bit later on. We're going to check out the charts here in a second, guys. Before we do, though, I want to give a special shout out to the sponsor of today's show, and that is Decrypted.tax. Yes, guys, it is tax season, March 11th, which means you have a little bit more than a month to at least file for an extension for your taxes, but you got to do something, right? The IRS has been laid off. Half of them have been laid off. I think the days of the IRS are numbered, but for now, in the year 2025, you still have to pay your taxes, whether you like it or not. We will never advise people skirting the law, but I do advise you guys find a way to pay as little in taxes as possible, and that's where Decrypted.tax comes in, because they are the tax people that both T-Shroom and myself, not only for our own finances, but for the company as well. Why? Because I've never found a CPA that can save as Decrypted.tax in earnest. Last year, when I did my own calculation, I thought I was going to owe the government an additional $3,000 in taxes. Guess what? I had a return of almost $1,000. I had another friend who thought he was going to owe $20,000. He got a return of about $3,000. I don't know where Ernest came up with it. I don't know what kind of stuff he did, but he absolutely made everything work. Go give him now for free. And if you do sign up and use the services, you get 25% off just for saying that the bros sent you. Now it looks like Smay is saying my internet is a little choppy, which is so dumb. I reread it today. Hopefully it ends up sticking with us. Smay, keep me updated on that. Keep me updated. For some reason, I need to stop talking and let Stream talk.
Well, Tim, I'm going to talk anyway, because there's also a very important, exciting opportunity, which is if you have any questions about crypto taxes right after the show tomorrow, not today, tomorrow, Ernest will be joining us in Bro Time to be answering any questions you might have about crypto taxes. Think of it as a free consultation. It'll be a group consultation. Nobody will be disclosing any information about their own personal finances, hopefully. But yeah, join us there. Ernest, our crypto tax pro, will be there to answer any questions that you might have right after the show.
There we go. All right. It sounds like people are saying I'm just off sync with my voice and my mouth.
You're
so let's
fine.
go. Let's minimize me. Let's minimize me here, Tim. And let's talk about the charts here. It's Maynard. Good stuff happening right now. But I will say I wanted to respond to a chat earlier, but one of my favorite people in chat, Steady Bug, says, hopefully I don't hear that I will now tell you exactly what will happen, just as I predicted. Nonsense. Can't deal with it today. I'd like to think I'm not really I told you so type of person. Here's what I will say. What happens next? Nobody knows for certain. Yesterday, we did discuss this move where we finally have come down and taken out that big CME gap. You want to see it on the CME charts? This was the level we told you would need to be closed before we could find some sort of bottom. I'll tell you this. While, again, I do not know at all for 100% certainty what happens next, I had a suspicion yesterday that I told you we would swing low, and we would start to make our way back up to 90K, and that would become a decision point. If the bulls want to continue, we need to break above this red line. We get back above 100,000. And all of a sudden, we're talking about the bull market being back. We're talking about new all-time highs on the table. However, I'm not convinced necessarily that's going to happen. And we're going to walk through some charts here. We're going to do some reminders of the technical analysis. Tim remains long-term bullish. Tim is not selling his cryptocurrency. You guys have heard me say that a whole lot on this channel. But I do want you to know I am not convinced, even with the news coming out today. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a couple of minutes. I'm not convinced 100% that the bottom is in yet, right? Yes, you might be saying, Tim, you said 90K was the bottom. I did, and I was wrong. So I had to update my analysis. And what I'm seeing is that we still probably need to go at least a little bit lower. But for more on that, why is 90K still what I'm looking at on the table? The first thing we need to look at as we're back up above 83,000, which is an amazing thing. We had a buy signal yesterday from the ONDO chart, from the ONDO oscillator here. Green reversal, bullish divergence, bullish momentum, positive money flow, positive MACD, positive RSI. And I told you on the 1 hour chart, there would be a significant level of resistance right here on 82 that we needed to get above. Well, we've done that in the last hour and some change. That's a very positive sign. So the next thing we're looking at is up here at the 4 hour chart, where we are launching and approving a buy signal as we are speaking. We have the green reversals. We had bullish divergence. We had the momentum. Can we get that positive money flow? Technically, that money flow hasn't gone positive, but with the 1 hour now breaking above the smart trail, I think the likelihood of that money flow going positive is on the higher side of the probabilities. All right, what we're watching for potential resistance, keep an eye here, 6 to 80, almost $88,000, 87.8 to be exact on the 4 hour chart. But that's the next small level of resistance I see to the upside as we continue. And again, right now, what's happening is we are getting a bounce. Call it a dead cat bounce, say the bottom's in. All I know and I can tell you is we are bouncing, and this is something we expected to happen when we looked at yesterday's show. The reason why I think 90K is on the table is because when you move all the way up towards the daily chart and you are seeing buy signals out here, we see definite bullish divergence, green reversal, bullish momentum. And you guys see here, we had that positive money flow. Yes, we've ticked down here a little bit, but as we're moving positively today, we're confirming that bullish divergence. That should tick back to the positive side. Guess what the target is? Somewhere between 91 and 94,000. The 2 daily chart doing pretty much the exact same thing. Green reversals, the reversal went away, but the bullish divergence for sure. Green momentum and positive money flow. That suggests on the low end, we could make our way back up to 94,000. All right. So these are all the bullish things we're watching. The problem is when I swing all the way out to the 2 daily chart. Okay, so we're looking at long time frames. You might be saying, Tim, you keep flip-flopping back and forth. You keep being bullish, then bearish, then bullish, then bearish, then bullish, and bearish with these charts. Time frames are very important. A 1 minute chart might turn bullish, but it's probably only going to stay bullish for about 12 minutes or so before it could easily turn bearish. A 10-minute chart could maybe stay for an hour or some change. But as you move out, we're looking at longer time frames. So our 4 hour and our daily and our 2 daily are all looking bullish. But that doesn't mean when you go up to the weekly and 2 weekly that they're seeing at the exact same levels. The 2 weekly chart did give us a confirmed sell signal a couple of weeks ago. Red reversal, bearish momentum, and then what happened last week as we dropped below, or a week and a half ago when we dropped below 90K, we confirmed negative money flow with a price target at the high end coming in at 74, at the low end coming down here at 65, right? So we have a zone between 74,000 and 60,000. Now, of course, 74,000 is going to be very interesting because that was the high from back here in March. Of course, 65K, we're talking about some highs we had back in April of 2021, some wicked highs and closing candle highs from back here in November 2021. But the other thing I'm watching here that needs to be addressed is when you take a look at liquidations, right? Liquidations right now, let's zoom out and get a good perspective here. Depending on what time frame you're looking at, if I go to the 8 hour, you will see a nice little pocket of liquidations coming in here. Guess where? Around $74,000. You'll see the next big pocket to the downside, if we continue the downside, coming down here. Guess where? $65,000. So that keeps us within that zone of saying, hey, could we stop right here at 74? Absolutely. Could we also make a move down to 65? Absolutely. On the daily chart, there is no pocket of liquidations on that time frame here at 74. It's the pile we just cleared out right now, and then a dip all the way down to 65,000. So these things are keeping me, these time frames are keeping us on our toes. And I'll tell you, this is where I kind of conclude here. This is going to be the difference between being bullish and being back in a bull market or a continuation down to $74,000 to $65,000. Can we break above this red line? Can we make a move back above 100K? If that happens, and I know that's a long way up from now, but that would break the bearish structure. That would be a pretty hard pivot that the bulls are back in charge. That would be a confirmation that the bottom is in. I wish I could tell you right now the bottom is in, but if we don't, if we reject anywhere between that $91,000 to $95,000 level, we stay below this red line, the reality is we probably need to come back down to $74,000. Not what people want to hear, but it's what you need to know. I don't call everything perfectly, but I just want the record to reflect. Last week, we told you a swing low move, we would probably make a move back up towards 90K. It happened just perfectly, and we come back down again. We are still in that boat. I wish I could say the bottom was in, but we are unfortunately still in the boat right now of saying we easily could make our way back up towards 90, maybe a little over it, and then swing for another low. And we'll have to readjust when that time comes to see if we need to go any further. But for now, that is the boat we are in. Do not get overly bullish. Do not get overly bearish. Okay, if you want to sell at 90K, if you want to sell before then, be my guest. Go ahead and sell. I myself, I'm going to continue to hodl on despite all the crazy volatility. I'm going to trade these movements. I already have, just so you guys know, I have sell orders coming in at $94,000 already put in place just in case we take off while I'm sleeping at night. Guess what? I also have buy orders right now set at $74,000. So I have prepared myself, as I think you guys should as well, for both massive swings to the upside and massive swings to the downside. I have some stop losses put in place just in case, but for now, that's how I am treating this. By the way, if you guys are in our VIP trading group, you guys are doing very well in a trade we set up late last night. Caught the bottom almost perfectly with an entry here at 77,150, give or take. I think 112 is what I had in the market, but I think I entered about 150. We're still looking for a trade up here, back up towards $92,000. Our stop loss was put it here at 74. I have recently moved this stop loss now up to the local bottom. We're going to end this one in profit. I'm not saying guys jump in on this trade because clearly we're already significantly up to the upside. But if you want to get in on trades like this early, you absolutely want to check out our VIP trading group, only accessible when either you purchase our Luxago tool with the link down below, or if you join one of our membership options. Check out all of that in the details down below. With that said, let's check in on some other coins here before I let you guys go. We were talking earlier today with some people in our chat, and I had to come back over, even though I check out the XRP chart at least once a day. I hadn't necessarily focused on exact details to think through this. There is no crypto. Show me another cryptocurrency in the top 50, right? Maybe Pi. Don't count Pi. Pi is a chart that's just blown up out of nowhere. Show me another chart looking better than the XRP chart right now. I mean, almost everything else we're tracking. Ethereum, clearly in a still pretty massive swing to the downside. Solana is moving back down, came back down, endangering and playing with that $100 level. Chainlink, you guys know, one of my favorites, holding on to some support, but swinging to the downside. Same with ONDO, same with Cardano, although that's not as bad. It's the better one at Cardano. But XRP, one of the few charts that's still technically putting in higher lows. It's been putting in lower highs, putting us in a symmetrical triangle with a little fake out back here on March 2nd. But as a whole, XRP holding up pretty well. Take a look where it bounced today. Yes, we had a wick come down below, but closing last night still above this, bouncing back up today. I still see this as an extremely bullish trajectory for XRP. Let's see what's kind of going on the charts. We recently have gotten that bullish divergence. You can see where we put in lower lows, but higher lows on the oscillators. Some resistance up above us if we start to spark back up. Again, you're going to come back up here towards $3 in the short term. I think as we come out to the weekly chart, though, we still see some slight negativity here. The weekly chart, you guys can see we had a sell signal come in. We've already hit that target, so that's a good sign. What about the 2-weekly chart here? Not quite bearish just yet. You do see the red reversal and bearish momentum, but unlike Bitcoin, we don't have the negative money flow just yet. If we do get that, though, again, what XRP could do is make another swing back low down towards 176. As I said with Bitcoin, I don't believe we're out of the woods just yet. We could. The bottoms could be in. Keyword could. But do not be surprised if we have a rally for the next couple of days, hit some resistance, put in some lower highs, and then continue to the downside. If so, I think watching the 2 weekly charts support levels are going to be pretty significant to watch for the next buying pressure. If we lose them, then I would say that is when I would admit this is a full-blown bear market, and you need to be preparing yourself for a little bit lower to come so you can buy massive dips. But that's what I'm watching with XRP, a story of a very good-looking altcoin right now. XRP holding up extremely well. Let's flip to the opposite. Let's look at the exact opposite. One of the worst performing cryptocurrencies, but they did get a small amount of news. And some people in our chat are saying, guys, did you see this coin is up 24% today? Well, that coin is called KASPA. Well, there's a reason why KASPA is up 24% today. There's a slight news story that's going to affect it, but also this is the exact opposite of XRP. KASPA is one of the bloodiest charts in the crypto space I can see. Anything that falls extremely hard can have some pretty aggressive bounces. But again, I'm a big fan of, as fun as percentages are, I'm a big fan of looking at charts. And long term, KASPA made a very good move here. I think we talked about the other day, 5.3 cents could be an interesting spot. It got kind of close there to 5.5 cents, but it did it so bloody, so quickly. Yes, a lot of times you will see a fast rebound. But when you look at this, KASPA is not exploding through any type of resistance whatsoever. We could make our way all the way up here back to 8.5 cents, and KASPA still is putting itself in a descending channel kind of playing out here. The good news is descending channels often break to the upside, but if you guys were trading KASPA or looking at KASPA and wondering, man, is KASPA about to make a massive comeback? Is KASPA a hot coin? Guys, I still own KASPA. I'm still holding out on it. Is one of the ugliest charts. And when you bleed that aggressively, that fast, it's not uncommon to have these little bounces. Some of you might be saying, what is the bounce from, right? Oversold coin for sure, but also there's a level. I think today, according to Crux, something happened along the route of like Coinbase or CoinMarketCap classifying KASPA. I think it was CoinMarketCap. CoinMarketCap classified KASPA as a US-made coin, right? So you'd be like, okay, cool. If KASPA is made in the United States and Trump ever does get that bill to pass where American-based cryptocurrencies are tax-free, there's no capital gains tax on them, that'd be massive. Well, then the founders of KASPA came out and said, we are decentralized. We don't want to be caught up in all of that USA versus other mess. Don't label us as that. We're just KASPA, a decentralized project. In which case, some people in the KASPA community really respected that. They love it. They love the decentralization. They think that KASPA could be the special coin of this bull. And you can stay on my screen or you go off my screen here. I think there's a quick little thought I want to give on KASPA, and then we'll move in and get back to discussing some stories. Let me know in chat. Are you a KASPA holder? Do you still believe in it? Do you love KASPA? Let me explain the bullish case and what's good about KASPA and why I still think it does go to new highs, but why I'm not as bullish on it as I was a couple of months ago, okay? KASPA is truly decentralized. It is one of the most decentralized cryptos out there. It also is still proof of work. You can say there are some features about proof of stake that are better than proof of work, but the way to stay truly decentralized proof of work is way easier. KASPA solves for the trilemma problem in the crypto space that a lot of altcoins do not solve for. And I was talking with, not bullish on Tim's internet. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not bullish on it either. I'm going to have a mean phone call with them later this afternoon. Anyway, back on KASPA. The concept of saying KASPA's decentralization could be the catalyst for why we explode. And the scenario that was given was kind of like, go back and look at how Cardano performed back in 2021 when everyone thought it was dead, but then its specialness of decentralization and the hype of what could happen, it exploded up. At one point was the number 3 ranked coin. Okay. If KASPA had existed back in 2021, it would have been a top 5 crypto. Why? Because in 2021, the arguments and the debates about decentralization versus centralization were massive, and people seemed to FUD and move away from centralized projects, and they only wanted to focus on the decentralized ones. This is one of the reasons why I believe XRP, along with the court case from the SEC, was a little more suppressed in 2021. The problem is, guys, when was the last time that the biggest argument in the space in crypto was over how decentralized and centralized coins were? It's not as big of a deal right now as it was 4 or 5 years ago. So for that reason, coins like XRP, which again, I'm not going to call XRP the most decentralized project. It is institutionally friendly. It is centralized. That makes institutions love it. And it has exploded. Again, it's the best performing altcoin right now by a mile. Okay, in the last month and some change at least. CASP, on the other hand, it doesn't yet appeal to institutions. It does appeal to decentralized owners. The problem is that's not going to be the big talking point of this bull market. For that reason, again, do I think CASPA can still make new all-time highs, get over $1? Absolutely. There will be a massive retail support for CASPA. It just won't skyrocket up into the top 10. I don't even know if it's going to make it back up into the top 20. But it will be around for a while. I'm not telling you to sell your CASPA and run for the hills. It'll never make it. But I am saying if you're expecting for it to make it to $4, $5, $6, top 10 coin, 100 to $200 billion market cap by the end of this whole thing, probably should lower your expectations because this isn't the bull market that all the decentralized coins win. This is the one that institutionally friendly coins end up winning. With that said, let me know in the comments what your guys' thoughts are as well. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if you agree, or tell me if Caspa. Just give me your other takes. With that said, let's get back into some stories here. The big news of the day affecting markets is Bitcoin made its way back up over 83,000 as a lot of altcoins are pumping. What is happening? I didn't click on Bitcoin chart. What is happening right now that kind of sparks all of this? Well, two big stories happening today. One kind of negative, one more positive. A term coined by one of our pro traders in our VIP trading group named Rufio. By the way, guys, it's not just me that trades over there. We got several amazing traders, but I can't take credit for this. Rufio said it earlier. Today is Tariff Tuesday. And of course, the news didn't disappoint. A lot of fireworks back and forth between the new Prime Minister of Canada and Donald Trump, making it look like this trade war is about to get way more intense. Well, as that trade war looks like it's getting more intense, a different war looks to be de-escalating possibly as, again, less than 1 hour ago, we heard an announcement that a ceasefire deal has been agreed to from Ukraine. For more on that, if you guys did not see the intro, I want to throw it to T-Shroom and find out, T-Shroom, do we find out any more details about what this agreement entails and what this means for the crypto markets?
In terms of the ceasefire or the Canadian tariff deal?
Let's start ceasefire. That's the biggest story here. But then we'll transition and talk tariff wars as well.
U.S. military aid and intelligence to Ukraine continues. It resumes after agreeing to a ceasefire protocol. Ukraine agreed to a 30-day ceasefire with Russia after U.S. talks in Jeddah, which is in Saudi Arabia, today, with an aid and intelligence resuming as well. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio led discussions on a minerals deal for Ukraine's lithium and titanium to boost its economy. Russia's stance on the ceasefire is unclear. So this is the big part here. Actually, it's contingent on Russia's agreement, and that is still a big variable in this. But I will say, from my reading of this story, it's been Ukraine that has been hesitant to enter the ceasefire for a variety of reasons. But it looks like the major agreement has been made to agree to that minerals deal and agree to the ceasefire. Whether or not they make it through the full 30 days, I think our poll is actually voting on that. Currently, 57% of people think that yes. 57% of people watching this show, all just to be statistically accurate, think that it will last the full 30 days. So that's quite optimistic. Tim, what's your take on this? And are any details kind of jumping out at you as very important?
Maybe I missed it and you said something about it, but this is going to be one of my questions. I heard, again, all this is so breaking, so bear with us as we go through this. I heard Zelensky wasn't even present at the meeting. Is he a part of this deal? Is he aware of the deal? That's going to play a major role. I don't know the answer. I don't know if it's yes. I don't know if it's no. But whether this ceasefire makes it to the full 30 days or it goes past 30 days is going to require Zelensky, unless somehow they're able to oust him as the president of Ukraine, he's going to need to be involved. He's going to need to be a part of this solution as well. And that's what we're kind of waiting to see. And again, so I'm kind of like, when I give answers to this stuff, crypto markets as well, if then statements cannot be overdone. Like my answer on what I think is going to happen is if then. If Zelensky is on board with this deal and is willing to come to the table and is willing to do what he needs to do to end this war, then yes, this could be the very end. The ceasefire goes past 30 days. If Zelensky is not a part of this deal, if he is not on board with this, then no, it's not going to make it. It's not going to make it past 30 days, even if it makes it to that point. That's what we're waiting on right now.
Yeah, so there is a little bit of meat to that bone. The source material for that tweet came from this CBS News article. If you go to my screen, it said this: the agreement came after more than 8 hours of negotiations between Ukrainian officials and U.S. delegation led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio in the city of Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. So make no mistake, Zelensky's a very busy guy, right? He's got some things going on. This seems like a pretty important meeting to be in. Now, this article also does state that Zelensky was in Jeddah recently, so he had, maybe. So you kind of crafted in the following ways. Maybe he kind of set his terms with the Saudi kind of neutral party, and then went back to Ukraine to manage the conflict. Whereas and then the United States delegation came in and finished the negotiations with the equivalent of the Ukrainian Secretary of State and their delegation. That's being generous, right?
Mm-hmm.
Zelensky not being at the meeting, not the best optics for him, right? Also not the best optics for investors who are saying, okay, is it black or is it white? Is he there? Is he not? Who's the decision maker here? So there will be some lingering questions because this is kind of stuck in a gray area. You also have to get Russia on board. It's not clear that Russia is necessarily going to agree with this, although my guess is that they will.
Yeah, that makes sense. We've had a super chat here from Sam Dowling saying, TA on HBAR. Bros, like HBAR, rarely talked about it. I like HBAR. You're right. And rarely is the right way to put it. We should talk more HBAR. We'll have to take a look at that a little bit later. Let me copy and paste this to not forget about it. I want to keep the conversation going, but it's time to transition as we're talking about war. Let's transfer from the Ukraine war to the new war happening here in the the North American continent between America and Canada. The tariff war. A lot of shots being fired today. It does look like some de-escalation is happening. Again, breaking news. But T-Shroom, give us an update. What's happening here? We know about the massive tariffs posted this morning. I don't know if we announced it earlier, but the new Prime Minister of Canada pretty much threatening, saying he's going to make America's life miserable. One of the mayors saying he's going to cut off electricity to the northeastern part of our country. This could be massive, massive issues. The reality is it's a war that if we go that route, Canada's not going to be able to withstand this war, but it does create chaos in the meantime. What are the updated details going on right now in the trade war?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's three main headlines that matter right now that are moving markets. And if you're looking at a chart today, within the last hour and a half, you'll see that markets are absorbing this news. They're welcoming it. Investors are allocating on this news. But is it just a trade or is it truly an investment here? The first headline, Trump says he's increasing Canada steel, aluminum tariff to 50% from 25%. So doubling that tariff. That is bearish, right? That's bearish. And it's coming from Trump. It's coming from the White House. Then you get Canada files to sell USD bonds, size undisclosed. Very important detail. Canada holds about 400 billion US bonds and is the seventh largest hodler of US bonds. Okay, so they've got a lot of bonds. If they were to sell all of it, that would be no bueno. That would be no bueno at all. However, the fact that they have not even disclosed the size of how much they would sell tells the bond market, okay, we can't move on this threat, right? Because we don't even know. Is it going to be one bond? Is it going to be the equivalent of like $500, or is it going to be the full 400 billion, right? So the bond market can't move, rates can't move on that kind of a sale because there's no quantity, there's no dollar amount in order to reprice. And then this morning, within the last 40 minutes, we have this headline: Canada agrees to pause 25% electricity tariff on the USA. If you live in Michigan, Minnesota, or New York, you may have been going out and buying blankets and heaters because the energy could have been cut off, but it looks like the Canadians relented. Now, there's some details that have emerged on this. Ford said, now Ford is he's a mayor of a major city in Ontario. I don't know exactly all the different, exactly who he is, but he's the leader here. He's the counterparty to Howard Lutnick, let's say. Ford said that he and Lutnick had a productive conversation about the economic relationship between the United States and Canada earlier Tuesday. We have both agreed, let cooler heads prevail, Ford told reporters. He said Lutnick agreed to meet with Ford and the U.S. trade representatives in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday to discuss a renewed United States-Mexico trade agreement. Okay, that's really interesting.
That's big.
Yeah, that's big.
This is big, and the reason why it's big is because this means it is not a Trump and Carney conversation. It's the not second in command. So obviously we're not talking about the vice presidents or anything, but we're talking about two smaller heads pretty much saying, hey, let's not keep doing this whole back and forth. Let's not just punish the people of our countries. But that I was hoping. T-shirt. I was hoping that with all the fireworks going back and forth between Trump and Carney right now, that maybe this was a de-escalation in that. It sounds like it's not at all. It sounds like pretty much just lesser beings in both governments are saying, hey, while they're going back and forth having their own little pissing match, let's calm down and not hurt the people of Canada and United States as much as we can. But that is bad news right there in the long haul. Again, markets bullish today. Again, they were overextended. They're bouncing back up. But that to me is not the great news that some people are hoping it is. It sounds like we still have a lot to go here in this trade war.
Well, yeah, I think I might have a slightly different take on that. So Douglas Robert Ford Jr. is a Canadian politician and businessman who served in the 26th Premier of Ontario. So he, as far as I understand, that's the highest rank in Ontario. But I believe he's now the mayor of the capital of Ontario. Regardless, he's the counterparty to Howard Lutnick. My take on this is coming back to this part of this headline here is really interesting. They're going to meet in D.C. tomorrow to discuss a renewed United States-Mexico Canada trade agreement. That does, so on one hand, Tim, you're right. This does kind of kick the can down the road in some sense, or kind of prolong the talks. But this is big. Are they going to rewrite NAFTA? Like that could potentially be the groundwork for the next big trade agreement, which trade agreements usually bring tariffs to zero. That's usually the goal of a trade agreement, with few exceptions. So that could be very interesting. Rewriting NAFTA, of course, NAFTA, big win from the Clinton administration. So my guess is it's probably not that grandiose because, like you said, Tim, this is happening with Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, not Trump himself. So this one definitely seems like this is going to continue. And my hunch is that Ford is kind of firing off here and having to be kind of talked down, but by somebody other than Trump, right? So the optics of that is get back in line, pal. This is not your call. But in the same day, we have this call to sell the bonds, potentially up to $400 billion in bonds, which I don't know how many bonds are traded every day, but that sounds like a very big number. 400 billion, even for the U.S. bond market, which is one of the deepest liquidity markets in the world. That sounds like a really, really big number.
And again, the significance of this, if they sell the bonds, that would put, if anyone's wondering why that's a big deal, them selling those bonds and then not being bought up would put a little bit of the stress on the concept of, hey, can we get closer to quantitative easing? Can we get to where we're cutting rates later this year? Those bonds being sold could be a problem. It makes me wonder, and I have two thoughts. Well, I thought about this one. I'm going to get back to a different detail here, and then we'll probably wrap up this conversation and move on to some good Q&A time with the chat here. Do you think that Trump and his team, T-Shroom, are potentially looking to line up some buyers in case Canada does go through with the selling of those bonds? Maybe making some allies with some new countries that are not, traditional allies to say, hey, we'll do you a favor. You buy up these bonds should Canada sell them. Do you think that's possible happen in the background right now?
It's possible. It's possible. And I see that there are some people correcting me saying that they would be rewriting NAFTA again. So NAFTA, I stand corrected. NAFTA has been, there already had been a new iteration of NAFTA called the USMCA. So yeah, it would be a rewrite of NAFTA again. A good point. I don't know if that's where this goes, though. I think probably USMCA just kind of stays and the tariffs reach their solution, right? The demands are met. That's kind of the point, I think, of the tariffs, at least in North America. I think the tariffs on Europe, the tariffs on China are a little different. And Tim, my meta-analysis of all this is who is the audience for these tariffs? Because it's clearly not Wall Street. It's
Right.
clearly not Wall Street, right? And Wall Street usually is the audience for most things that happen at a federal level. I think the audience is China. And I think to some extent it's also Europe.
True.
Right. I think that the tensions going between Mexico and Canada are kind of what China has to look forward to if they don't play ball, right? And so it's like what you said, political theater. It's being played out on one of the largest stages, so that China sees very clearly what's going to happen if they make certain decisions versus other decisions. That's kind of the way I see it. Clearly, it's not retail investors that are the audience, I think, and it's not Wall Street either. So,
but last thing I want to say, and we'll move on here. We're gonna just had a super chat from earlier. Start dropping some questions in chat, whether about topics we're talking here. You guys want to do some technical analysis on some of your altcoins? We can do a lot of that stuff. My other thought, though, that as we're getting big, this should be a wake-up call to Americans as a whole. Why are we depending on another country to supply our electricity across such a massive amount of territory? I absolutely think, you try to stabilize the situation. We do not want to see a state of emergency. We do not want to see almost the entire northeastern part of our country go dark for days or weeks, hopefully not months. But we absolutely should be rewiring grids and building electricity so that we here in the United States control that power. This is an absolute problem, which is, again, one of the reasons why I am very much on board with a level of tariffs, no matter what. This concept of depending on other countries for our goods and services, and in this case, our electricity. I know that, 100 and some years ago, we didn't even have electricity. Whole civilization survived without it. Now, do you guys know how many people would die and how detrimental that would be to millions of people if we lost power in that part of the country? Electricity equals life. Why are we depending on another country for that? Why are we depending on other countries for our goods and services? We need to be producing bulk items here in the United States. We have the power, the money, the supplies, and everything else to do everything in-house. I'm not saying we don't have relationships with other countries. I'm not vying for an isolationist perspective here. But what I'm saying is, a dependency on other countries can be cool for a certain period of time until there's disagreements, until there's some problems. And America is the most powerful country in the world by far from an economic and military perspective. But if we depend on our livelihoods on other countries, that gives them a level of control over us they have no purpose in having. It's time to start rewiring some of that stuff. We got to figure out how to get out of that situation that we're in. With that said, guys, let's go ahead and get into some chat here and talk with you guys. A lot of people agreeing with that point. Let me know if you disagree. It's okay to disagree. I put out a tweet earlier today as a fun fact, not a factoid of the day like Smay. But Smay, I have a fun fact for you. I'm going to bring up Smay real quickly, and then we're getting to some questions here, T-shirt. Did you know that you can disagree with someone on something and not hate them as a person?
What? Tim, really? That's so crazy.
Night, actually. It's a little revelation.
Wow.
Thought Smay would appreciate it. I saw someone ask earlier, said more Smay. So, Smay, someone said that you're the greatest addition to the show we've ever had. So you can wear that badge of honor right there.
So really
what
quick,
do you got, T-Strom?
I love the banter, and yes, it's true. You can absolutely love people without loving the ideas that they believe in. But Bitcoin is continuing to pump, and I'm seeing a new update here from Zero Hedge. Trump may back off doubling steel and aluminum tariffs. So look, very much
pretty big.
Yeah, very much in line, and this is from 19 minutes ago, very much in line with the tit for tat tariff war that has been going on with Canada. This latest kind of 1-2 punch of the, hey, we're going to sell your bonds and we're going to cut off energy to the Northeast. Like, that was an escalation. Was that necessary? I don't know. I think from Canada's perspective, they want to appear tough, right? They don't want to signal to their electorate that, hey, the party in power is weak and we're just going to capitulate to Trump. Are they feigning that? Have they already kind of made that deal behind the scenes with Trump, and they're just making it seem like they're the tough guy standing up against their stronger, wiser, older brother to the south? That's kind of the way that I'm reading this headline. we'll see. Just because of the quick snapback. Okay, Trump saying, okay, well then, okay, we won't do those double tariffs. All the same to us. So just that rhetoric. Is that kind of how you're reading it?
I mean, again, I hope so. And here's the thing.
Canadians.
Again, like I said earlier, I think tariffs of some kind are acceptable. I think just crazy tariff. I don't want the trade war to continue, right? I'm a fan of tariffs in general and getting power back to the American people. I'm not a fan of prolonged tariffs just for the sake of going back and forth. So if anyone's wondering, I want all this stuff to stop. I understand why it's happening. I myself, you guys might be in a different boat. I am tired of the American people and taxpayer being the pocketbook for the rest of the planet. Anytime they want to do anything they want, they just call on their dear friend, the United States, and we fund them for whatever they want. It's time that we had a leader that put America first, that flexed and put our needs above others until we can get back on track and then we can help others. But at the same time, I don't want to have problems and war and disagreements with other countries. It's just you got to find that balance between we're not going to get pushed around. We're not going to be the punching bag for the rest of the planet anymore. We are going to defend ourselves. That being said, but guys, if you're enjoying the show today, make sure to smash that like button. Make sure to hit subscribe as well. We have a goal to hit 50,000 subscribers before the end of March. And unless you guys help us, we're not going to get there. Go tell your friends. Go tell all of your loved ones. Go subscribe to the Investing Bros. Let's go back to that super chat we had earlier. It was from, let's see here. Well, we had a comment earlier. Muhammad said, this is the best. Smay's the best edition. That's what I said earlier. Okay, read that one. TA on HBAR. Bros like HBAR. Rarely talk. I do like HBAR. HBAR is really emerging. It's now jumped over AVAX. Let's check on that coin market cap real quick. I say that. I want to make sure it didn't bounce back. But it is now behind Chainlink. Yeah, it's the number 2 real world asset right there, 2 spots above AVAX. Don't sleep on HBAR. AVAX with great news today too, by the way, guys. HBAR, of course, getting that ETF filing. It's not official, but they're getting it. As far as HBAR is concerned, let's take a look at what the chart is saying. I don't remember the last time we did a TA here, but we talked about this massive zone of support. And as someone mentioned in the super chat, we hadn't really done HBAR here recently. We talked about this rising level of resistance that would turn into support. Well, we've bounced on that now several times. So both horizontal and rising support is holding up very well right now for HBAR, for Hedera. So that's a very positive sign with this nice bounce here once again. Let's check out the different time frames. Let's see what's going on here. We'll start with the 4-hour chart. What could we expect maybe in the next couple of days from HBAR? And we'll look at a couple different things here. RSI looks like we did get a bullish divergence with a higher low and a lower low put in. So that's a good sign. The 4-hour MACD just crossed bullish within this last candle. I don't know why that's so small. Let's zoom that in there a little bit. There we go. And then you get to the Luxago oscillator. Where are we here? We have the reversals, bullish momentum. Not quite the positive money flow just yet. Did we have it on the 1 hour? We did. All right, so we had our 1 hour buy signal. Similar to Bitcoin. Let's see what we kind of did here. We're still below the resistance. So right now, HBAR is facing a level of resistance we need to get back above. Can we conquer it? Can we get that buy signal on the 4-hour chart? All of a sudden, we're talking about getting back up to 22, maybe 23 cents. But now let's move up and let's take a look at the daily chart. Let's take a look at what's happening over here, and then we'll move back down and look at liquidation levels as well. We do, just like most of the crypto space, have the buy signal with the green reversals, the bullish divergences, and the positive momentum, and that positive money flow. That is a good buy signal. Doesn't happen overnight. Could take a week and some change before we actually hit the targets once you get that signal. But it is a very good sign that we are moving to the upside. And the target on that bad boy is going to be back up here towards 25 cents. Not quite back where we were back here in early March, but still a very positive sign here for HBAR. Which, by the way, if you guys ever see this show and you're saying, man, what are these indicators Tim is using? How does he enter these trades? I'm using Luxago and just put a video out on the channel a week and some change ago on exactly how to use the strategy that I'm telling you right now to predict and to trade these prices. So go check out that video after the show is over. But the daily chart, just like Bitcoin, looking good. Do we have some momentum here on the 2 daily chart? It does look like we do. Buy signal, but we have the green reversal. We have the bullish momentum. We're waiting for the bubble to pop and the money flow to get back above. Let me zoom in here. That thin red threshold. You guys see that thin red line right there? That's the bearish threshold. We need to get back above it. And all of a sudden, the 2 daily chart is telling us a move back up here towards 29 to 30 cents could be on the table. However, I need to know, what are the weekly and 2 weekly charts doing? We had a sell signal back here. We've hit the weekly channel, that smart trail. What about the 2 weekly? We've not quite hit it. And it does look like we had that red reversal, bearish momentum, and then you see outflowing money flow. So if Bitcoin falls down towards 74 to 65, more than likely we're going to watch HBAR fall to 15 down here to 10 cents. Okay. That's an if, right? Can we get back above some of these massive resistance levels? I would say for HBAR, you don't want to use these ones. Let's come back up here. I think HBAR's levels, unlike Bitcoin, I think HBAR's levels are going to be these highs we had a couple of weeks ago back here in January. I really think if you want to see long-term bullishness on HBAR, you really need to get back above 40 cents. Otherwise, that danger of dropping down to that 15 to 10 cent zone probably stays as a probability you do not want to ignore. That being said, some other things I want to be aware of here. Let's go to a smaller time frame like the hourly chart and the 4-hour chart. I want to take a look at liquidations. That's not going to tell me a lot. We're on the lower end here, right? Not a lot of liquidations to the downside. It looks like chasing back up here towards 23 and then 26 and then 30 are on the table. What about some longer time frames here from some longer liquidations? Yeah, it's going to be similar levels on the 4-hour. What about the daily here? This will be the last one I take a look at. Just want to see where we have longs and shorts set up that traders could expose and go after. Not anything jumping out at me there. What about the 8-hour? I'm trying to look to see if there's a good stack right in here. Yeah, there we go. There's a stack right in there. It's all purple because there's lower volume on HBAR than there is on other exchanges. But 13 cents, 11 cents, we got that range, a 15 to 10 cent zone. That's going to be a target. Again, if we drop, that's what we're going to be looking at. But a lot of liquidations to the upside that we're probably chasing on the short term before a longer term move to the downside. We'll do one more coin. This is my problem. I used to try to do 1 minute technicals on coins or 2 minute technicals. You can only do so much. To do heavy analysis on these coins, it probably takes at least 5 minutes, if not longer, per coin. All the more reason why, if you guys want to see more technical analysis, if you want to learn technical analysis, join our Super Bros membership level. Come in and be a part of our live trading groups that happen every single week. Not only myself, but other pro traders we have in our community. You guys need to pay attention to it. I see a lot of people asking for ONDO. I love me some ONDO. Let's go take a look at it. A coin that's had a lot of bleeding here recently. Still higher highs and higher lows, right? Zoom out before you freak out. I'm not freaking out about ONDO. I'm not worried about the long-term perspective of ONDO. The fundamentals are still strong. The charts are still bullish from a macro perspective, okay? That being said, I do not like what has happened here today. And we're popping back over, right? I don't know if we're going to technically, do we have a daily candle close below? We do. See, I just don't like that. We were in a falling channel. This is a very bullish formation, and this could end up being a fake out, but I don't like when you get a candle close below that support level. That's not a good look for ONDO on the shorter time frame, but it is something we're recovering right now. We're moving back up. Let's take a look at what our charts are telling us from these macro and micro perspectives. It's kind of nothing burger happening here on the daily chart. It's not the same bullishness. Again, we had this buy signal back in here. Great buy signal. Green reversal, bullish momentum, little bubble, positive money flow. Guess what? I guarantee you, I can just see it. We came back up after that buy signal. Oh, that buy signal is way back here, actually. We came back up and we hit the smart trail, right? So we sufficed what that trade was saying. We did have a little itty bitty buy right back here as well. Green reversal, bullish momentum. And guess what? We hit the smart trail. We've come back down. So that's still going to be a target to keep an eye on, bouncing back up towards that 119, 120. That's where resistance will lie, both with that falling resistance and the daily smart trail. But are we getting buy signals on anything larger? Here's some good news. The 2-daily chart does look like it is working on a buy signal. Could take some time. Be patient with it. But green reversal, bullish momentum, positive money flow, little bubble that popped there. All right. We've moved a little lower here, but with that kind of bullish looking candle, the trajectory here would say it wants to make its way back up here towards 146. Only thing you should notice here, this is a pretty sloping smart trail, so I don't think we make it all the way back up there. We're probably looking at something between where we currently are and that one. For that, I kind of like some counter analysis. We have an equilibrium, an order block coming in here at $1.37, give or take. That's going to be very interesting. That's a good little look right there. A support level right now, a bullish breaker block in this camp down here. You love to see it, but this is where we start to take a look at those longer time frames. We had the hourly sell signal. Oh, man, ONDO's not old enough to get a clear perspective on these longer charts. I'll still look at the 2-weekly one, but you do take them with a grain of salt. Yeah, we don't even have smart shells building up there. I'll say the support level, if we start to lose this one, you're probably looking back at these lows we had in November when Trump was elected, looking at that camp around 58 cents. With that said, though, as I just pointed out, you do have some major support and targets to the upside that ONDO's looking good for. It's just, again, ONDO's not going to lead unless something breaks in the news that they're doing something amazing. They're going to follow the overall perspective of the markets, the bull market, the bear market. They're going to respond to things like this. Right now, we do have the Bitcoin dominance flirting again with 62%. You guys can see here, we've been tracking this kind of zone of Bitcoin dominance between 62% and 60%. We are now at the high side. Does this mean it's a good time? Are altcoins about to make a move above Bitcoin? Are we about to see the Bitcoin dominance plummet back down? Maybe. Maybe we are, but until that happens, with this Bitcoin dominance being higher, Bitcoin's still the leading indicator of where crypto wants to go. We're not in altcoin season. We're not in a place where altcoins are going to make their own big moves without Bitcoin. That'll happen when this chart starts to come back down to the downside. I still believe altcoin season happens. It should have happened back in December. It kind of flirted with us. It gave us a moment of thinking, well, there we go, December altcoin season, right? When Bitcoin's dominance fell from 61.5 all the way back down to 54%. It flirted with an altcoin season. But of course, we set a new high here recently. And until we start to see this plummet once again, alt season might still be a couple of months away. Okay, so be ready for that. We're not in a 4-year cycle anymore, boys and girls. If you want to continue to hold on to the 4-year cycle, be my guest. But I'm seeing evidence after evidence after evidence, both bullish and bearish, by the way, that the 4-year cycle is dead. That's something we predicted last year. I told you guys my opinion last year was that this was the last. We're not having a 4-year cycle anymore. We hit new all-time highs on Bitcoin before the halving event. We did not have the altcoin season at the right time. The Bitcoin dominance is still going up. We're in a little mini recession. I think that some people are going to say we're about to enter a recession. News break. We've been in one for quite a while. The whole way we trade these markets in a timeline perspective, throw everything you know out the window. It is now going to be massively incentive-based, institutionally based, regulatory clarity-based, quantitative easing-based. How's the economy moving overall? How do people treat crypto? Is all of crypto a risk-on asset? Is Bitcoin a flight to quality to get away from an inflating dollar? The dynamics of how you trade the markets have shifted and changed. It's no longer as simple as just saying, hey, based on a 4-year cycle, you buy here and you sell here and you buy here and you sell here. Nope. You got to watch the charts. You got to pay attention to the news. You got to understand what's happening. And that's why we have a daily live show to break all of that information down to help you make a better and more informed decision. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap up our Q&A section. T-shirt, before we move on, anything you see in chat before Smay comes up for our factoid of the day?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a couple of things that I wanted to highlight here for the bros. Again, seeing a lot of fear in the chat, not as much as yesterday, but also seeing a lot of experience. Bros, if you already know what the game is with Bitcoin, then you may have even gone to Bitcoin conferences in the past. There's one coming up in May, late May, the 27th and the 29th in Vegas, baby. Crux and I will be there celebrating and learning, more importantly, more about what is going on, what the future holds for Bitcoin and for crypto. Networking, shaking hands, having fun, eating some great food, maybe even gambling a little bit there in Las Vegas. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you can find it all in the link to this very event down in the description. 10% off when you use code BROS. That's right, 10% off when you use code BROS. Link in the description for Bitcoin 2025. And Tim, I can't ever have an episode where I don't think of Caleb Franzen. Caleb Franzen, we haven't had him on the show in a little while, but he said this about the Canada agrees to suspend the 25% electricity tariffs on the United States. Caleb said, "Art of the deal in it," which is a British phrase for "isn't it?" So very, very fun there. Caleb's coming on very soon, isn't he, Tim?
Thursday. Caleb Friends
Thursday.
in Thursday. He usually does Wednesday things, but I messaged him earlier this week. Said, "Hey man, would love to have you back on." He said, "How's Thursday?" I said, "If that's what you want, whatever Caleb wants, Caleb gets." Cannot wait to have him on Thursday. We miss him, and I know a lot of you guys do miss him as well.
I love
Thank you for those updates there, T Shroom. Again, guys, if you're leaving, that's fine. You can leave. Smash the like on your way out. We didn't get a like goal today for a live trade, but tomorrow, come back. We'll have a like goal. We'll do a live trade here to wrap up the show. But for now, it is Smay time. We need to have a new graphic for that. Smay time and the factoid of the day. Smay, come on up here. Anything you want to say to the people?
Yes, Tim, I'd love to thank you for this opportunity. I just want to say, guys, there is a free thing that you all should be taking advantage of. It's free, which means you can have it and not have to pay for it. And I think you guys need to take advantage of it. You guys want to guess what I'm talking about here?
Euros. Pesos.
No, that's not free. That's an actual currency. Guys, what is free is the free Discord where we discuss cryptocurrency. So definitely join. It's a community where we love each other. We give each other lots of hugs. You get to see lots of pictures of Tim beardless. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
we just love each other.
I was born with this beard. Those pictures
right.
don't exist.
If I might leak a beardless picture of Tim. Anyways, let's go ahead. Jump into the Factoid Chamber, brought to you by Decrypted.tax. All right. Here we have one. It's themed for Tariff Tuesdays. Do you guys know who that guy is in the picture before I read?
Smoot Hawley.
No. Is that Churchill?
No.
That looks like Churchill, like a young Churchill.
Well, that is really one of our most famous presidents of all time, Herbert Hoover. So, anyways, nobody knows who that is. All right, let's go ahead and dive into today's factoid themed on tariffs. The United States' highest ever peacetime tariff, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff, 1930, was intended to protect American industries, but had what unintended consequence? A. It strengthened the global economy by encouraging free trade. B. It contributed to the Great Depression by worsening global trade. C. It caused the British Empire to collapse financially. Or D. It led to the rise of factory farming in the U.S.
B.
Well, based off the timeline, it's got to be B. It's got to be
Bravo.
part of what happened with the Great Depression. So it's
This
one. I know yesterday was a kind of an easy one. I think the elf might have just given us the easiest one of them all. But we'll have to wait and see. Maybe there's a twist here and we're wrong. But this might have been one of the easiest ones. It's got to be B, Great Depression.
You know, I think maybe the elf was actually just trying to make an argument on the tariffs conversation.
Yeah, it sounds like the elf
Everybody,
is not a fan of tariffs.
It was B. And guys, I'd like to share with you, the elf decided to give me some fact-checking information here, a.k.a. we just Googled it. Here we have this part, it says, but forget about that. It said, here, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930 raised U.S. import duties with the global protecting American farmers and businesses from foreign competition. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act is now widely blamed for worsening the severity of the Great Depression in the U.S. and around the world. Anyways, back to you guys.
Very interesting stuff there. Guys, that's all we have for you in today's show. I am about to go live here, and I'm going to wait till 4:30. I'm going to take a little bit of break here, but at 4:30, I will be live with our VIP trading group for a good old Q&A. We're entered in a long. I already showed you guys earlier in the show. We're entered in a Bitcoin long over there, but if you guys have questions and you're in that group, come ask me some questions here in about a half hour or so. Love every single last one of you guys. Am I still bullish as we wrap up the short? Tim is still bullish. But, do not get carried away here. There's still a lot of volatility. There's still a lot of unknowns. There's still a lot of chaos happening in the world. And while short term, we might be bullish and going back up to 90K, prepare yourself mentally. If we dip back down, there are reasons and targets back below. The market volatility is not over just yet, but guess what? You can trade all of it. Come join me in that VIP trading group. See you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. Adios.